there, Dr. Sheep here. Welcome back to TGIF Talks, episode 163. I'm your host, Dr. Sheep, joined by guest today, the fearsome rhino, or Nate, as he's commonly known.
Hi.
Hi. Alright, let's roll the intro. One of these is not like the other. Man, the footage from that intro is ancient.
I went back and looked earlier at like one of the beginning podcasts, and just see the evolution was funny.
Oh yeah. It has it's crazy. So it started off with just recording it on a GoPro, basically, and then Phil didn't want any audio, didn't want any visual, so we went quite a few before I finally convinced him to do visual. And then at some point, I was watching H3 podcast at the time, and I was like, I see what these big podcasters do, and I'm like, okay, I need to emulate that. And I wanted to emulate that. So I'm like, okay, so I need to have a computer. So then I started using my computer to record things and do that kind of stuff, and got an actual mic, but I was still using the GoPro for visual, and then realized that I didn't like plugging and unplugging my laptop all the time, so I bought a entire laptop dedicated to that, sold it to Phil. After we did that for quite a while, it turned into just this for quite a while, and then Phil comes and just sits next to me, and we just record everything on the computer now. Yeah, the evolution's interesting.
Well, I mean, evolution of everything. I mean, everything grows over times and evolves into what it is.
Mm-hmm. And then I can always, if we have 3 guests, I can always run stupidly long cords out to my living room. And
It works.
Yeah, and then because I don't know if you've ever seen I don't think it was the last episode with Buck, one of the previous ones though. Because I think the last one we just did like this.
I don't remember. I watched the one where it's like titled something about taxes or something like that. That's the one I watched. And y'all were all sitting together in a room.
Yep, that was definitely then in my living room, just across this wall. So
yeah.
Anyways, so we were discussing before the podcast, for everybody paying attention. This is why we just started it now. It was his degree. So what are you? Where are you going? If you want to share that, and what are you getting?
I don't want to share where I'm going. I am going after my degree in ag business. I have some of the certificates already from when I was in high school. I did dual enrollment for the ag business for a little bit, so I like certificates in small farm sustainability, so on and so forth, and just going after the actual diploma now.
Okay. See, I had so at the University of Nebraska, they were like, okay, so you can, so I wanted to be, when I first did, I'm making a mess over here. When I wanted to pull out my knife to fiddle with it, when I was at the university, well, before I started going to university, before I was deciding what the heck I want to do with my life, and I had just decided that I didn't want to be a shrink anymore. I was just like, I had a bad time in biology, and I was just like, screw that. Is there something else what else can I do with myself? And so I went on a tour of UNL with my cousin, and she was just like, yeah, they're in charge of the Ag Econ department, and they looked at me, and they're like, yeah, so you could do Ag Econ or you could do Ag Business. Either one, they're pretty similar, but they said that the Ag Econ is a lot more flexible. Because I was kind of interested in we have an Angler, we call it the Angler program at the University of Nebraska. It is our Ag Business Entrepreneurship minor. And so it's a really cool thing because it really helps foster new businesses and that kind of growth. it was quite unique when they started it way 10, 15 years ago. But now it's kind of, there's a lot of other universities that are starting them, or even community projects that are starting to do something similar to this. But anyways, so they're like, if you want to be able to take whatever kind of classes you want, because I was still pretty interested in science, they're like, do ag econ. And I was just like, oh, okay, sure. So I did that. So I was like, all right, I'll do ag econ when I get to college. And then
I'm starting to regret not taking that right now. Because I didn't think I'd be doing this right now. I thought it'd be still farming. And so now, once I get done with this diploma, I'm going to go back and take actual business.
Right.
I'm going to go back for an actual business degree next.
Honestly, I think ag business will be just sufficient enough. I mean, I don't think there's really anything more than a business degree. I guess it kind of depends what you want to do. Because that was another thing. I didn't realize this until like a year into school, maybe even longer, halfway through, that when you select an option, so like you have your major, and then you can have an option like within that major, at least at UNL, and when you select that, it drastically changes the classes. Maybe that's not all majors, and maybe that's not everywhere, but from what I can kind of piece together, it drastically changed things. Now, granted, I also took very different classes than what most people would probably take, because I was just like, oh, that sounds interesting and not hard at all. So I took that class, and I was the only person in there with a degree in ag econ. So it's like, okay, this is peculiar, to say the least. But anyways, so I don't know. You could probably get away with just a regular ag business degree, but you know, if you what a lot of people do in YouTube space, and I don't know if this is, I am not professional, so do not take every word I say with the truth. Take it with a grain of salt. Is a lot of people, they end up just going to like community college and just taking classes in business, just generic business classes. They're not getting associates. They're just taking night classes basically, and that helps them, and classes in entrepreneurship, and then that helps them, you know, figure out what they're doing. A whole degree in ag business, it could be really helpful. What year are you, I guess?
Oh, ag bit. So the way I did it is I started at a community college, and so I did most of my. I think it was like I technically did 4 semesters worth in community college.
Okay.
And then I was transferred out to the main college I go to now. So I should be in. I believe I'm in 4. I'm not sure. I quit guessing a long time ago. I just show up to classes. with my work schedule, I just show up for classes and we get it done. We get go.
So you're almost done.
Yes, I'm almost done with this degree.
All right. And so do you feel that maybe it hasn't prepared you for being an entrepreneur as well as you might have hoped? Is that
not for the side of YouTube? It's a whole different ballpark entirely than what they teach you.
Right.
YouTube is a whole nother monster that I've been slowly but surely tackling.
Right.
I mean, matter of 1 year, 20,000 strong. And that on by itself was an accomplishment to me.
Yeah, well, Buck and them, they really got you going there.
Oh, Buck still got me going.
It's YouTube's such a gambit.
It's a gamble and a half, but now, I mean, even at my stage, like, people don't believe me when I say it. At my stage, I'm able to I have an editor I pay, and I have some people that I have that help me out with other things like SOA and stuff like that. Stuff I just don't honestly understand.
Oh, I wish I could afford that. That'd be nice. That's probably what I need.
Well, the channel pays for. Well, the way I do it is the channel pays for itself, and then I do other odd jobs and stuff like that to pay for my day-to-day living.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm a firm believer in you spend your first 1 to 2 years, you spend everything you make from your channel or your business and put it right back into it to make it as best as you can.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what Jimmy, Mr. Beast does. Still does. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. He did start paying himself, because his mom was like, "You're gonna need to retire someday," and he's like, "Oh, I guess." I think it's also when he bought a house.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But so that'll be interesting. I don't think, because I feel like a lot of the guys in the farm sim, I don't know about Grant, but I feel like most of them probably don't even have a degree, and you'll have one.
Yeah, Grant has a degree for sure. There's a large number that do have a degree.
All right.
So somebody who I helped bring up from the depths, his name is Chris, aka Sotsway Up. He has a degree in full development. I forgot what exactly it's called. He does like development. He designs stuff for a software company, and he has that degree in that. I know I'm gonna have this. I don't think Buck has a degree. You may know that better than I do.
He does not.
That fits him. Yeah, and then then you got Kedrick. I believe he has a degree. A lot of the older guys have degrees. Yosho has a degree in welding engineering.
I guess that doesn't surprise me, because they they started off having 9-to-5 jobs, and then played farming sim on the side, and then decided, hey, I should make a YouTube video about this, and then it turned into, as a hobby that makes a little bit of money, and then now it's like, I can turn this into a job and then replace what I do for 9-to-5.
Yeah.
So
that was amazing to me when I realized it actually made decent money. I'm like, what kind of world? Why would I want to go get a real job when I could do this?
Oh, absolutely.
That's the kind of situation I was in.
I dream every day of like the day that I can become a YouTuber. I'm just like, because do you know the unemployed friend memes?
Yep.
That's you. When you become a YouTuber, you become the unemployed friend. I mean, you have a job, and maybe you guys would be more busy 9-to-5, in the office and stuff. But for what I want to do, I wouldn't be in the office. I'd be, on a Snapchat story blowing something up, and they're like, what? Does this guy have a job? No, that is my job.
Not for us. We record religiously.
Yeah. You guys are in the studio all the time.
Yeah, our studios, quote unquote.
Yeah.
We record a lot. I know with Grant, I record roughly 3 hours at a time. On top of that, every night, hardly, I record for about another 4 or 5.
Yep, 9-to-5. Pretty much. Except it always sounds like that the recording with Grant's never start on time. From what I hear.
If you show, let's just say this, you better not have something you have to do after recording with him, because if you do, just go ahead and throw that out the window. That you're not making it at that point. You're just not making it at all. That's just the way Grant is. You just don't make it. It's done.
Do you just so what happens in that? Are you just is it because you just because anytime Buck and I do a podcast, we always end up BSing for like an hour afterwards. Same with Phil. Is it that, or is it like he's like, oh guys, I have this other idea, let's do this real quick? Or is it just, I didn't like that take, let's do it again, and you just over and over and over again until you get it right?
It's not that we're doing it over and over and over again. It's, give me 1 second. It's what I get. It's what I get for having chihuahuas, I tell you. No, but I was saying, it's BSing. We'll BS for before, but it's weird. So we'll BS for 30, 45 minutes before recording. Mm-hmm. But time we're done recording and we get the thumbnail, right, you cannot keep none of us in that Discord call. We're all gone instantly. By the time the recording stops, we're gone. It's hilarious to me.
I could imagine. I mean, you're all probably pretty good friends at this point, so that's just the way it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, we all know each other. We all talk somewhat friendly.
I always just kind of imagine though that Jake gets in there and you guys just have to try and control him. I always kind of imagine him as kind of the loose cannon a bit.
Jake, in my opinion, was never loose cannon. He was always one of the people who's like, we need to get started, let's go, trying to keep everybody straight.
Okay, then he's definitely... Okay, so that's another question I had for you. So, some YouTubers, right? And I was listening to either it was your stream or Buck's stream. Somebody asked, "Is Grant the same off camera as he's on camera?" And then Buck or you answered yes. So then that's my question about Jake. So Jake must be different off camera than he is on camera. Or he must play some sort of character, because a lot of YouTubers, they kind of go into a bit of a character to do it. You know, they're
So with Jake, the best way to explain him is, and this I think I'm decent friends with, so I can say this. He has a character he does play somewhat. It's not like I'm playing a major character with him, but you can tell it's a character. He is very business orientated. Business is like, you want to know anything about business, really and truly. No offense to Buck, Jake is kind of where I learned the business side of YouTube from. Brilliant man all the way around. He can come up with an idea out of nowhere, but also he doesn't keep it so serious to where, you know what I mean, it's like walking on eggshells when you're around him. Now that's Grant. Grant's the kind of person, Grant's like super business compared to Jake though. Right. But
okay, I guess that makes I get that vibe, right? Because like Jake, you could think for a minute like, okay, yeah, he's like, all right, so the quarterly profits will be up by 69%, nice, and then back to seriousness. Is that kind of how it is?
Yeah, we just wish it was up by 69%. We'll be lucky if we get 2. We'll be lucky if we get 2% this month. But how about see, that's one thing I hate about YouTube is this is the worst month out of the year for YouTube.
Yep. Welcome to January.
Yep, the January. I mean, views are up. I love it. The views are at least up.
That's great. That's great. Love when views are up. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know you that you're in school and you see that's what I went to when I was in school. I met a lot of people that went year round. They started off at a community college, or they did a lot of classes at a community college and then went to the university. But something interesting I did notice was I was in the university has 10 ACE courses, they call them. These are courses that can be kind of geared towards your major, but basically they're your like everybody takes these,
Yeah.
classes except for the last one, your ACE 10. That's your capstone. That one is specific towards your major. Sometimes you're writing a quote-unquote thesis. Sometimes it's preparing you for a doctorate or your master's program. Sometimes it's like, getting you ready to be a teacher if you're going into teaching. It is, unlike the other ones where it's just like, these are just some bullcrap courses you're going to have to take. You just deal with it. This last one is definitely geared for you, meant for you. So I'm in this class. So I took 3 of these things at the university. I don't ask me how I managed to do that, but I took 3. And I finally took the last one that was actually meant for my major. And I'm sitting in there, and the professor would ask a question, and I'd be raising my hand, and they're like, "Did nobody else? Did you guys like who knew about this?" And I'd raise my hand. Part of it was because we would be going over statistics, and I was literally in a stats class at that time. And so I would be like, "Oh yeah, what's his face talked about that literally yesterday." And anyways, I got after class one day, and one of the people in the class was be like, "Yeah, I took intermediate macro at the community college. We didn't go over any of the stuff you're talking about." And I'm like, "Oh, I took mine on city campus, and we went over it." And they're like, maybe the community college was just cheaper and much easier. Maybe it doesn't prepare you for the rest of the university courses as well as it could have. But of course, I'm also a nerd. And so, and I also didn't take notes, but I sat there and just listened most of the time. And yet you can soak up a lot in class. A lot of people, they kind of just, they sit, they're too busy taking notes, and then they just go and study the notes afterwards. They take the test, and then they dump. So it's very possible she was doing one of those where she would just literally study, memorize for the test, and then brain dump. And then she just never realized, oh, they talked about insert this subject here in intermediate macro. Have you taken any econ classes, I guess?
A lot of you. I've been doing so much. I believe I have. I believe I've taken one.
One. Yeah, we, because the ag business at UNL, you take a surprising amount of econ courses from what I was told from my other friends who were ag business.
So the way it worked is, so a lot of the way the reason I don't know what I've taken really is because of the way that they've done my classes. When coming from the community college I did, they didn't really do a lot of econ classes. The classes there were just like super easy. Really and truly, I firmly believe you wouldn't have to show up to class and you would have passed.
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
It was those kind of classes for some reason. And I still showed up, but we really just didn't go over a whole lot. And we kind of skimmed through those courses as fast as we could. So I believe I've taken some, but then again, I just haven't been really doing a whole lot. Right now, I'm in like the easier classes, I like to call it.
That kind of sucks. They don't go over it in more detail because it especially like it's it kind of
every teacher has their different way that they teach stuff, and I was one of those students anyway that you could give me a piece of paper with the top 5 notes on it, and I'll be able to pass the entire test off those 5 notes.
Yeah, it kind of goes 3 ways, right? When you're in school. So when you're in high school and below, if you're not being taught what you should be taught, if you're getting a subpar education, one, you're cheating out the parents who pay the taxes for you to go to school, and all the people who don't have kids but still pay the taxes that pay for you to go to school and pay those teachers' salaries. You're being cheated that way. And then you're also being cheated as a student, because everybody jokes about how high school doesn't prepare you for real life or doesn't really accurately prepare you for college. When I was in high school, we took a class that did actually prepare us for real life. They taught us how to do taxes. They taught us how to balance a checkbook. They taught us valuable things that have come in handy later on in life. So then you get to college, you're not necessarily cheating out the parents, unless of course your parents are paying for your school, but you can still be being cheated out. And then, but then you're also you're being cheated out, not not just because, you feel like you deserve a better education, but you're being cheated out in the fact that you paid for this. You're working full time, or you're taking loans out so that in the end, you can then pay them back. But if in between time, if you're not getting the education you want, you're not getting what you feel like you're paying for, that's just sad. And that, I hope that it's not happening at a university, especially, or a institution where you're paying for it.
So this is where that's why I did the community college. The community college, and the reason I did dual enrollment, my college paid for me to go do that dual enrollment.
Okay.
So I didn't pay a single dime to go do those first few years, and that's just why. I mean, and I figured it out. Yes, I have taken 2 classes of that so far. The reason I didn't figure it out is because they were underneath the agriculture business certificate, law certificate.
Law. All right. So is that your option then? Are you ag business law, or are you just in general?
So I did ag business law. So for us, the program for ag business in that community college we went to, at least I went to, you had accounting, ag business law, and then you had small farm sustainability, and then you had another one. I can't remember the other name of it because it was something really irrelevant. It was like 4 main certificates that you would get, and it would teach you basically anything you need to know about agriculture. You would know it no matter what when you left that place. And the only reason I decided to go a little bit further with it and to get the actual full degree is because eventually my goal is to become the first person in my family to have a full doctorate degree.
Oh, good for you.
I just got to choose what that's going to be in. And so going with business, it gives me access to a lot of other those classes, the core classes that I don't have to retake those, and I can use those to my next, my actual degree I'm gonna go for in doctorates.
All right. Just a word to the wise. From what I've been told, doctorates are rough.
Yeah,
You doing YouTube and getting a doctorate, that's going to be tough.
yeah. I mean, I'm taking it slowly. I'm not. You know what I mean? I'd rather take 5, 6 years to do it than just to sit down and get it done all in one day.
Right, right. Will you ever share where you went to
No,
school? No, never.
no, because of the fact of I like privacy. Same reason, like I don't show my face. I'm a very private person.
Fair enough.
Um, because I'm a firm believer. Once you open up that can of worms, you can't close it.
Yep, you absolutely cannot. There's no going back.
Exactly. So as long as I can, I'm closing that wall. Because I have people who I work with that I go out and hang out with friends or something that have no clue who I work with or what I do for a living.
That's crazy. I couldn't
As far as
imagine
they
that.
know is I do something online. That's as far as they know.